Welcome to Project Perseverance. For those who don't know me, I'm Steve Beauregard. I am the president of New Bedford Development Corporation, which is the owner of this site. And along with Eliza Data to my far left from E3 Development, we are the co-developers of this 117 Union Street project. I wittingly refer to the project as Project Perseverance because it has literally taken us 5 years to get to this point. Consider COVID, higher interest rates, increased construction costs, supply issues. It has truly been a team effort and perseverance to get this development rolling. Let me begin my remarks by thanking all of you today for coming this morning. I know how busy everybody is in today's business world. So for you to come out here and support the project is really appreciative of the development team. I know many of you have heard, especially those at the podium here, have heard about this project ad nauseum. But for those of you who are new to us today, I'm just going to take a few minutes and just talk briefly about what is going to occur on this site. We are standing here in what used to be 5 one-story structures that had been shuttered for decades. This area will consist of a 5-story building with 39 apartments, and 12 of the units will be fully accessible with an open area on the 5th floor to capture the beautiful views of New Bedford Harbor. The Moby Dick building behind me was also vacant for many, many years, and because of its historical significance, we are restoring it and combining it with the new 5-story structure on this site to create 45 new modern apartments as well as ground floor retail space on the Union Street side of the property. All the units are highly energy efficient with solar panels on the roof. This corner is a key piece of property in downtown New Bedford and is in the heart of the world-renowned historic district. These buildings will be the gateway to visitors and guests traveling from the historic district to the Upper Union Street restaurant and shops. For years, this site was an eyesore, and I watched many a tourist from my window upstairs turn around when they reached this dilapidated corner. I'm proud to say that that will be no more, that they will be able to gravitate and travel further up Union Street, getting by this particular eyesore. Before I introduce our first guest, I want to offer a huge word of thanks to Wendy Rivera, who has assisted me on this project from day one and has helped in so many ways in meeting the details and deadlines. Thank you, Wendy. Secondly, I'd like to recognize our co-developer on the project, Eliza Data. This project got off to a very rocky start, but whereas we have already made a significant investment, we determined to complete the project to persevere. Eliza joined us in year 3 and brought a wealth of knowledge and expertise to the project, and her guidance assisted in getting us to where we are today. Thank you, Eliza. Numerous individuals have worked extremely hard over the past many decades to make the historic district what it is today, including our first guest. Mayor Mitchell has been credited with expanding our waterfront activities, led the startup of the wind industry in the city, invested in the historic district, including a major supporter of the $31 million renovations to the Zeiterion Theater located right around the corner. And last but not least, a substantial financial commitment to this project. I present to you the Mayor of the City of New Bedford, Jon Mitchell.
Thanks, Steve. I bet you couldn't tell I was here because the helmets are kind of screening all of us here, so you'll get to see everybody eventually. So there's a lot to celebrate today, and I just wanted to offer up a few remarks, hopefully of perspective, but mostly of thanks. So here's the perspective on it. There seems to me that there are really, 3 major benefits of this project. So picture that. There's the rendering right there. So, everybody should take a good look at that. I mean, a lot of you who are here have seen it already and have been looking at it for a little while now. It's been in the public realm for some time. there's a lot to be said here, right? This is just a key parcel. It sits here in the urban core, and here's benefit number one, right? Investment in the urban core, one of the pillars of our strategy in redeveloping the city. And I get grief from time to time about, well, the mayor favors the downtown and all that stuff. But the reality is, I don't. I treat every neighborhood the same. But there is any urban planner, any economic development expert would tell you you've got to have a solid core. And secondly, any urban planner or economic development expert would say the downtown belongs to everybody, right? It's not just one neighborhood. It is the site of common experience for everybody, not just in the city, but also in Greater New Bedford, throughout the metropolitan region, our metropolitan region. And so having a head count, having a higher residential head count helps, right? Building density here helps businesses. It helps obviously other real estate owners, and it helps, frankly, just the overall vibe of the place, to have people walking around and interacting with folks, right? Nothing draws a crowd like a crowd, and if your urban center actually has a crowd, that is a good thing. So, benefit number one: urban density in the urban core. Secondly, I'm thrilled with this project because it helps us address a housing crunch in this area, right? This is a substantial number of units. Our goal, as stated in our housing plan, and I note the work of Josh Amaral, our housing director, who's here today. Our housing plan is all about increasing supply. As we tend to increase supply of housing, preferably at multiple levels, income levels, housing will be more attainable for folks who need it. And that's what this is about. It's housing at a number of different income levels. It's a nice mix, and it's here right in a great place again. So advancing our housing goals as stated in our housing plan, and a part of our housing plan was to follow through on this and the other major projects that are underway, is a huge benefit for us here. And so that, to me, that's the second big benefit. The third big benefit, I'll just say, is we have put a premium. We have exalted the power of urban design, the power of good design, what it means for a city, right? If you think about cities that are successful, they're places that have, if not landmarks, public spaces that are inviting, that are compelling, that cause people to think and make them feel like just like being there and sticking around. And so for a long time, I don't think the city had neglected the power that urban good design could bring as part of an urban regeneration strategy. I see Mayor Bullard in the back, who is trained as an architect. It was a big thing during his administration, but he hasn't been mayor in a long time. We won't say how long, John, but he, among others, know that if you design something well, people will be drawn to it. And so, this picture speaks for itself. It's a great work of design. I commend the architects from Stantec who developed it. It looks great, and I know Steve and the team made sure that it looked just so. And our planning team, Jen Carloni and others, worked closely with them on that. But it continues the street edge on Union Street, the main street of downtown, which is hugely important. And then on the backside, it complements Custom House Square, right? Custom House Square was one of the first projects during my administration in which we said, we're going to design something great, something lasting, something compelling. And we brought in Chris Reed, New Bedford native Chris Reed, to design it, free for his hometown. And, what we saw there was a demonstration of what can happen when you design something well. Within weeks, people were taking wedding photos there. That's a good thing when someone can say, yeah, I want to memorialize an important part of my life, an important moment in my life in a particular place. You've designed it well, and that others will still come. So this is all complementary to those efforts, and I think in the long run will, for generations to come, really stand the test of time. So great design matters. So there's a lot to like about this project, and I'll say this, Steve is absolutely right. is this doesn't get done with a whole lot of perseverance. You've heard me talk many times before about the differences in America as between the major metropolitan areas and everybody else, right? There are markets across America. The biggest cities are living through golden ages, whether they know it or not. The closest ones are New York and Boston, but they're all over the map, and the rest of America has had the struggle, and there are lots of reasons for that. So we are a market where we have to hustle to build things, and it requires lots of public support, including direct financial support, but it also requires just figuring out the numbers, working, attending to detail, and sticking with it. And that's what happened here. And there are a lot of people I want to thank for sticking with this project. I want to start with Steve Beauregard, who, as the head of the New Bedford Housing Authority, ventured into this not as this is unlike your normal day's work, Steve, right? And so I just really want to start with you because I think you spearheaded this effort, you saw it through, and Steve, you know, you're a guy who let's just say perseverance comes naturally to you, and it showed here, and I just want to thank you for your leadership on the project. A number of other people I want to thank. I want to be as complete as possible, and I say these thank yous because there were a lot of people involved in this. So, the board members of New Bedford Development Corporation are here as well. Bruce Oliveira, of course, who's involved in just about everything in the city, including this particular project, played a huge role in it, including the understanding of the finances. And I want to thank Bruce in particular, as well as Bill King, Joe Cavallo, John Whalen, and the Reverend Leona Fisher. I don't know if I saw Leona here today, but I want to thank all of you guys for your work on it. I want to thank Eastern Bank. You'll hear from Eastern Bank in a moment from Joanna Stone. I want to thank you for your financing. Again, Stantec and all the architects with Stantec. Stantec is a great national architectural and engineering firm, and we're so pleased to have their services here. The property manager, Halkeen, who has been involved. I don't know if Andy Burns is here or anybody else from Halkeen, but again, they do great work and have been doing great work in the city for decades. I want to thank also D.F. Prey, our good friends. I don't know if Scott Prey's here. I know some of his family are here, and they're building a lot in New Bedford. You see their signs. They do great work. They love the city. I want to thank you guys for making it happen. Again, the city team, Josh Amaral, Lori Mooring, Pat Sullivan, who's retired recently at the longtime head of housing in the city. This is complicated stuff. Financing of housing in our market is complicated. There is almost invariably a mix of public and private capital into major projects, and it's just not as straightforward as it is in many other cities. A developer showing up and stroking a check, right? It is complicated stuff, and I want to thank you guys for your work along the way. I want to thank our state delegation, Senator Montigny, Representatives Cabral and Hendricks, who are all here today, for their steadfast support for housing policies generally at the state level, but also their commitment to ensuring that the downtown is the solid urban core that it is, and becoming increasingly so all the time. You guys have really stuck with it, and the teamwork that we've had together over the years has paid real dividends. And so I thank you for your leadership as well. The City Council has been hugely supportive of this project. City Council President Linda Morad, Ward 4 Councilor Derek Baptiste, and Sean Oliver, Ward 3 Councilor. And I thank all of you guys for being there as well and facilitating these projects. As you can tell, the elected officials, it's fair to say, look, there are always going to be disagreements, and there should be among elected officials as part of any kind of vibrant deliberative democracy. But this is a priority. These types of projects are priorities, and we're all on the same page with when it comes to advancing them. I want to thank at the state level Mark Tedden from Mass Housing, as well as Crystal Cornegay, the head of Mass Housing, for your efforts and support of this and our other housing projects. And I hope I'm not leaving anybody out as I look around the crowd, and if I am, I'm going to blame Steve Beauregard for leaving you out. But of course, Congressman Keating's office, Liz Rhoda, is here. The city invested ARPA funds into this project, which is the American Rescue Plan Act, committed a considerable amount of funding to cities across the United States, including New Bedford, and we've been putting it to good use in housing projects, including this one, as well as the one at the foot of Union Street, the one at the top of Union Street, Union and 8th Street, as well as the project to restore the former Holy Family High School. All these projects are beneficiaries of ARPA funds, and it's money well spent. So we want to thank the congressman as well as the Biden administration for seeing that program through. It's making a difference in New Bedford. I say all that, it's a long list, and I hope I'm not leaving anybody out, but I run down the list because I really do want to emphasize this is what it takes to get big stuff done, guys. Working together, focusing, and overcoming the obstacles along the way. Because there was always obstacles. When you do something difficult, there will be obstacles. By definition, things will get rough at some point, but you got to stick with it. And we're sticking with it, and that's why the city is succeeding. None of this stuff is rocket science. As much as the financing can be complicated, it is a matter of working through it, persevering. It makes a difference. Steve, you're right. That is the word of the day, perseverance. And when you persevere, good things happen, and we're about to break ground on something that's going to be terrific. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor took a little bit of my thunder in some of the thanks that he made, but I certainly want to recognize the Board of Commissioners for the New Bedford Housing Authority that are here. I'm not going to read off the names again. The Mayor has done that, but I do want to recognize the board members from the New Bedford Development Corporation who are here today. In the front row, Bill King, Bruce Oliveira, Joe Cavallo, John Whalen, and Leona Fisher, and I see John in the back here. Without their steadfast support, this project would not have happened. I want to thank them. Our next guest has been a friend of mine for, probably 50 plus years.
I'm much younger than he is.
By less than a year. We both grew up in the west end of New Bedford, not far from here, and we continue to be West Enders. So I've known Mark an awful long time. Mark did ask me a very strange question, John, on the way in. He wanted to know if this building was leased or rented, and leased or owned by us. I'm not sure what he was referencing, but we own the property, just for clarification's sake. So at the end of 20 years, we will still be here, God willing. Seriously, Senator Montigny was an early supporter of downtown New Bedford and continues in his career to champion the arts and sciences for all the work that you see around us here today. So I want to just keep things quick and present to you my good friend, Senator Mark Montigny.
I know most of you personally, and it's interesting. I've never once been introduced by somebody who said, I want to keep things quick. It's never happened, but I'll try. Good tactic, not putting shade above us and putting hard hats in front of us. It's not going to work with me. Actually, I'll do my best. But it is difficult not to take a moment and reflect, because you have to know, if you're new to this community, and each project brings new folks, those of us who have lived here our entire life, which is most of the people who have been mentioned, actually, other than the finance team and some of those that are directly associated with the project, we like to reflect and think not only prospectively, but we really like to think of the history, one, because it's exciting, and two, because it reminds us why, even when things are exceedingly difficult, and they can be, they have been with this project, they certainly have been for me and others this week, particular to downtown. But it's important to reflect. So the mayor mentioned John Bullard, who tries to hide in the back, except he's like 6'8" or whatever. I mean, not really, I'm exaggerating, because I see him as such a big man in the history of this downtown. But I think back to my early years, I started in the downtown very early on because my grandfather was a whaling artist, so I appreciated downtown even when maybe most people didn't. But John Bullitt did, and Sarah Delano did, and the folks at Whale who, literally, I'm quoting others, but I think it's a good way to look at it. The folks that physically stood in front of the wrecking ball gave us a gift, and that gift had become beaten down, not through the fault of individuals, but if you look at a bunch of macroeconomic trends that I won't take my time or your time to talk about today, we were left with the physical assets. Nobody can steal Buzzards Bay from us. Nobody can steal that working waterfront. Nobody could steal the buildings that didn't get torn down. But some of us went to work long ago because we believed that the natural assets were so beautiful. So even in a week where, for me, there's been more bad news than good about the downtown because of the love and the history I have with Star Store, I even today can look at that project as an exciting challenge for the future for this reason. I have a 9-year-old son. Most of you won't believe when I tell you that he said to me, because as a single parent, he listens to me a lot because many times I'm working while he's with me. He would choose not to spend his day that way if he had a choice. But this week he said to me, Daddy, and I'm not using his exact words, but he knew how frustrated I was, and he said, Daddy, Star Store did its job. And I thought that was interesting. Now, I'm sure he picked that up in some of the conversations that I was having, but we're not giving up on Star Store. I think there's exciting years to come. But the job was to take these assets that we had, the natural assets, take that gift from John Bullitt and Sarah Delano and Whale, and make it what it is today. It wasn't just Star Store, folks. We earmarked millions and millions of dollars to make Route 18 a zipper tying the waterfront to the downtown instead of a death trap and a speed trap. We put in millions of dollars to start on a state pier project that ties in and brings tourists back and forth. That's important. We put millions of dollars into tax credits and housing. It's not just the $10 million for this project. It's years, it's decades of hard work. And people like Chris Hendricks and Tony Cabral and the mayor and the city councilors and others know that it's not a short-term vision. It's wonderful to have the vision. We sat in a building over 20 years ago and talked about how we could change downtown. And that vision, 3 parts, the Star Store and the arts and culture, Route 18 tying to the waterfront, and now that third part, the State Pier. Vision's wonderful, but it's only a rendering if it doesn't come with law and capital funding and budget earmarks. And I'm very, very proud to have worked with a team. Sometimes there's more time spent on the battles that we have as elected officials, which are numerous. We have difference of opinion. There's strong egos always involved. But at the end of the day, this stuff doesn't get done without collaboration. At the end of the day, it doesn't get done without a Steve Beauregard who won't leave anyone alone until it's in place. It doesn't get done without this team here and many of you in the audience. I see a bunch of city councilors and others. We collaborate more than we fight. And the great thing, and I'll end with this, the proof is in the pudding. Walk around this beautiful place if you haven't been here, but do it if you have. Like, I spent most of my credit card money over the history of my adult life on meals and sometimes a beverage or two in downtown New Bedford. And I have to tell you that even after all these years and even all that I've seen of the world, I don't know a more beautiful little city. We used to, when we built the plan for, again, I don't want to exaggerate that it was simply Star Store, because that would not have worked if we hadn't built on the infrastructure that was here, and if we didn't do everything in our power to get people to want to live down here and to provide them a way to get into the second and third floors. But I do want to say that we used to look up to all the other places in America who had worked on their downtown through an arts and cultural model, and now we are viewed nationwide and awarded for it as probably the best example of just a natural place that was beat up a little, and a collaborative effort got together with a whole lot of state money, leveraging private investment, and what we have is what we have. Look around. I'm not saying we don't have another chapter and a lot more to do, but the last 10 or 15 years it's been a lot more positive news and ribbon cuttings. And this is the proof. The proof is right there in the shovels and the cranes and the the construction crew. So thanks. I promised I wouldn't take 30 seconds. I kept my promise. I thank you all for your help, and enjoy downtown today. Spend some money.
Thank you, Senator. Our next guest is an elected official who's been very helpful to the housing industry as well as all the gateway cities in the Commonwealth. Representative Cabral fought to secure the tax credit program in 2024, which encourages market rate development in the gateway cities. Tony has been a very ardent and strong supporter of the housing industry, and gives me great pleasure to announce my good friend, Representative Antonio Cabral.
You look smooth.
Thank you. Good morning, all of you. Let me begin by thanking Steve Beauregard, because we would not be here, really, if it wasn't for his tenacity and never giving up in New Bedford, in particular downtown. You know, Steve, I've known Steve for many, many years, and when he puts his efforts and this tenacity behind the project, he doesn't stop calling. He doesn't stop talking to you. Not only to you, to me, or the others, but everybody that would be important to make sure the project gets off to a good start. So I think he deserves a lot of credit, along with the folks on the board, obviously, that have supported. The first time Steve sat with me to talk about this project, I was in from day one, because I think housing is that important for New Bedford and for the region. We have a housing crisis in the state, but we also have a housing crisis in New Bedford. I'll give you a little story. I have office hours every month in the South End at the Holland Green Branch Library. And over the last 8 to 12 months, almost, not everyone, but the majority of the folks who come and see me, and you just come, sign up, first come, first serve, you don't need an appointment, it's been around housing issues in New Bedford. I had a lady that came a few months back that lived on Independence Street. You all know where Independence Street is, right? And she was scared what could happen to her. She worked all her life in the mills in New Bedford. And now she was faced with possibly eviction or having to move because she would not be able to afford the new rent. The house changed hands, and the new landlord said, by the way, the rent is going to be $1,400. One of the tenements in that house. It's a 3-tenement house. And you know, her Social Security, by the way, is $1,400 a month. Prior to that transaction, she was paying between $500 and $600 a month rent. So we need to create a two-tier approach when it comes to housing, both market rate, which is important for the success of downtown in many areas in the city and throughout the gateway cities. We need more of that kind of housing as well. But we also have to be conscious about affordable housing in the city. This is someone who worked all her life, gets $1,400 from Social Security, and how is she going to pay $1,400 of rent? Think about that. How could I help that person that day? It's not easy. We continue to try to help her out, make hopefully a transition to a place where she can afford. That's just one example of what's going on out there. That's where the rubber meets the road. Yes, we've done a lot here in downtown, and I'm not going to repeat every single thing that Senator Montigny said, but I can tell you that along the years working with him, we've been on the same side, fighting for New Bedford, fighting for downtown, because we know how important downtown is to the success of the city as well. And I know the mayor has been a big supporter of downtown as well, and they've done a lot of work downtown. And that's important for all of us too. But you know, the fight goes on, and I will agree with Senator Montigny. The Star Store fight goes on. It's not over, because we're going to fight, and if there's any delegation that knows how to fight, I can tell you we are one of the best in the state. So we're going to continue down that road to make sure that the taxpayers of the Commonwealth, the taxpayers of New Bedford, and the residents of New Bedford get treated fairly, and that we have a vibrant downtown, and that's an important institution. And we know how important universities are if they are within the boundaries of a particular community, not only for economic development, but for education outcomes. Look at Lowell. University is inside the boundaries of the city. Look at Worcester. Never mind Boston, right? Or Cambridge or Newton. The percentage of bachelor degrees in the population of each one of those cities is greater than cities that do not have a higher ed facility in their city. So that's that important for us. Not just about economics, it's about education attainment. It's about creating the place where people think they can get ahead, they can accomplish things that their previous generation, their previous family members were not. Most of us, we are first generation graduates of a four-year degree and plus. So that's important as well. But we forgot to mention one of the biggest fights we've had as a delegation was to bring the Steamship Authority back to New Bedford, which used to be in New Bedford in 1960. That was a huge fight. So you see all those cars that are parked there to go to the Vineyard on Nantucket. That's because we were able and we succeeded in making sure the city was part of the Steamship Authority again, and we will have a vote on that board, and we will be treated fairly and equally when it came to that kind of activity. And I think that's paying off for the city as well. And you forgot to mention the train. Folks, it's coming. It's coming. By the end of this year, we should have that inaugural run, and I hope all of you will join us, myself, Senator Montigan and others, and Chris and the mayor, and Steve, we want you to be on that inaugural run too. So we're going to celebrate. But the state has been a good partner as well with the city. And in every single dollar the state has invested, it's not by accident, by the way. Things don't happen by accident, by chance. It's by the fights we have done and the fights we have taken on up in Beacon Hill and in Boston to make sure that the city of New Bedford gets its share and what it deserves in order to make a better place for all of us to live. A couple of weeks ago, I was at the revealing of, and the mayor was there with me, of the Booker T. Washington mural at the Baptist Church, First Baptist. What's interesting about that was, why was he in New Bedford at that particular day, at that particular time? Not just to give a wonderful speech that he did, but the primary reason for him to be in New Bedford was to raise money. He came to a fundraiser to raise money for the school that he ran down south. Imagine, why would he come to New Bedford? Because at the time, we were the wealthiest community in the United States of America. So they didn't go to Newton in those days, or Wellesley, or Cambridge. They came to New Bedford. In Fairhaven, by the way. He was also in Fairhaven raising money. So we are on our way to that, and that's our goal. That's our goal. Can it be done in a short term? Probably not. But I think if we keep the vision and the tenacity and the fight alive, I think we can accomplish that. Steve, once again, thank you very much for the opportunity, and thank you for your work. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Tony. Oops. Okay. Our next guest here this morning, sitting to my left, is Representative Chris Hendricks. Chris and I and his family with Mark go back a lot of years. And Chris has been a friend. We're happy to see him in the legislature, doing a lot of good work. So with that, I'll introduce to you Representative Chris Hendricks.
Thank you, Steve, and thank you, everybody. I'm not going to say anything more than Mark, the mayor, or Tony hasn't already said. But certainly we have a housing affordability crisis across the nation. and it's no stranger to here in New Bedford. So I just want to thank everybody for this project, all the partners, everyone involved, the mayor's office, New Bedford Housing Authority, Eastern Bank, DF Prey. It's a testament to getting things done in New Bedford, and it's a testament to what we hold dear, to getting things done. You know, I stand here before you speaking, and I look around and I see the Siemens Bethel, I see the Whaling Museum, the DeMello Building, Custom House Square behind us. You know, this is an amazing spot in New Bedford, and it's an amazing day. And so, you know, when it comes to the issue of housing stock, the actual numbers we have in the city, it's a huge problem. And thank you to the mayor for his multi-pronged housing plan and his multi-pronged housing effort to get more affordability in the city. But as far as stock goes, this is something that's going to have a direct impact on stock. And it's going to create, and it's going to alleviate some pressure on the market here in New Bedford. So I'm really proud to stand here before you today, especially given all the work that's been done by the delegation and others on this project. So I just want to thank everybody and congratulations to all the work that's being done. Thanks.
Okay, moving on. Our next guest was first elected to the City Council in 2003 and is currently serving as City Council President again. Councilor Morad has been a champion as an at-large councilor, and we're excited to have her join us here this morning. Councilor?
Well, thank you, Steve. I wasn't expecting to speak. Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm joined with my colleagues in government, the Council of Ward 3, Sean Oliver, and the Council of Ward 4, Derek Baptiste. And I want to extend my congratulations and the congratulations of the entire City Council body to Steve Beauregard and the Board of Directors of this project, and to the delegation, to the administration, and to all of you who made this project a success today. As has been said, this is a project that's been going on for a long time, and it's a wonderful home run here in the downtown area. There's been so many projects over the course of the last year and a half, some just small developments, some like this, that are improving the lives of the people that live in the city of New Bedford. And that's really important. As an elected official and as a proud member of this body of elected officials that serve the city of New Bedford, I thank all of you for your efforts. It takes an entire village to do this, and it's obvious looking in the crowd and listening to those who spoke before me that we get it here in New Bedford. So I want to thank you all for what you're doing here today. I'm going to be brief. I took a lesson from the senator about being brief. And again, I want to send my congratulations to all of you involved, and I'm looking forward to the ribbon cutting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Linda. Projects of this magnitude require a development team of architects, consultants, attorneys, and financing partners. To introduce our next speakers and to recognize the many financial partners and organizations who have contributed so greatly to this project is co-developer Eliza Data. Eliza?
Good morning, everyone. As Steve mentioned, my name is Eliza Data. I'm an affordable housing developer, and my company is E3. I am development partner with Steve's organization, the New Bedford Development Corporation, on this exciting project. So I would like to start, like other speakers this morning, by taking the opportunity to congratulate you, Steve, for having the vision to create this project, as well as the dedication to see it through to this important milestone. You saw an opportunity to address a critical housing need here in New Bedford, and you've created a project here on Union Street that will contribute to the city's vitality for many years to come. I understood your vision from the minute I saw this site and your plans for it. I mean, what an amazing location in the heart of this incredible historic district. It's got access to jobs and transportation, education and the arts, and a spectacular waterfront. It may be a small site, but it's certainly one of the best that I've ever worked on in my career as a developer. And I believe the impact of the project will be sizable. This $27 million project will help multiply the many investments that the city and state have been making in downtown New Bedford. So together, we were able to share this vision for the project and attract the resources needed to make this project a reality. And we needed a lot of resources. This project also presented some interesting challenges from a financing perspective. We were mixing tax credits with workforce housing, we're mixing housing with commercial space, and we're mixing rehab with new construction, to name a few. But we have been very fortunate to have many creative and committed financial partners who've made it possible to be here today celebrating a groundbreaking. And we are very happy to see so many of you in person today. What a treat. One of those partners is Mass Housing, our state's housing finance agency, which is providing $2.3 million in funding through its workforce housing and permanent financing programs. The workforce housing program is a unique tool here in Massachusetts, a tool that makes it possible to create a truly mixed income project here with rents that will be within reach for a wide range of working households in New Bedford. So I'm very pleased to introduce Mark Teeden from Mass Housing to say a few words.
Thanks, Eliza. When you're this deep in the speaking program, pretty much everybody has said what you wanted to. I want to especially thank the mayor for, it looked like he read this piece of paper before he said my remarks. So while you've heard it all, as the saying goes, you just haven't heard it from everybody yet. Again, congratulations, Steve. Terrific job. I was looking at my calendar preparation for this event. It was 4 years ago, almost to the day. Crystal and I came down and we spoke to Steve, some of his colleagues, and he gathered together some folks in the development community. And we talked about several projects, including this one. And I'm actually very pleased to say, and I think he should be congratulated for, every project that we talked about is actually at some stage of either beginning, middle, or end. So, very nice. We finance projects all over the state, and we love all the projects we finance because they all bring this huge benefit. Some are special, and this project embodies so many of the things that when we see them embodied in a project, it almost guarantees success. Mixed income, as has been stated, it's a mixed use development. It's an adaptive reuse as of a building that honors the legacy of the city, and it's new construction on land that had been lying vacant for quite some time. These developments do more than create homes. They add to the vibrancy of the neighborhood and either create or extend a momentum that's very difficult to stop once it's started. As has been mentioned, it's a very complicated financial package, 15 different sources of capital coming together to get us to this day, and I'd like to highlight two of those. First, Mr. Mayor, the city and the affiliated entities have provided nearly 20% of the development costs of this project. And that is a level of municipal contribution we rarely ever see. And I want to congratulate you and your teams for the commitment to direct those funds toward housing. Thank you. Second, and in representation of our friends at the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities, provided over $4 million through 4 of their various programs. It's just a great combination of municipal and state leadership coming together along with the private sources. Lastly, we're also very pleased to work with your development partner, Eliza, with whom the agency has collaborated on several very successful projects. And I have no doubt that in the fall of '24, we'll be here for a wonderful ribbon cutting celebrating the completion of this development. Mass Housing is always pleased to play its role, but you can see it takes such a large team to develop something like this, and we realize without them, our impact is not as, though we bring impact, without the balance of the team, our impact is really not what it all could be. I'd like to give a shout out to my Mass Housing colleagues. There are several here today. Please raise your hand. Don't be shy. Great, thank you. I'm either lucky or unlucky to be up here standing. It depends on the day. Today's a nice day, but they do all the work. I just sit back and watch a great team work. So, Steve, congratulations. We offer our congratulations to you, the city, and all of the other finance partners, and really appreciate the opportunity to say a few words today. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mark. We truly appreciate Mass Housing's partnership on this project. We are also very grateful to have Eastern Bank as part of our team. Eastern is investing in this project in a big way, both as construction lender and also as tax credit equity investor. And I think this level of commitment speaks volumes about Eastern's commitment to affordable housing and cities like New Bedford. And I am delighted to introduce Johanna Stone from the bank to say a few words.
Hello, everyone. I always have to adjust these obvious reasons. Hold on. Got it? Yeah, I think I did. Okay. Well, thank you, Liza, for the introduction, and good morning, everyone. On behalf of all my colleagues at Eastern Bank, I would like to congratulate the New Bedford Development Corporation and the entire project team on this milestone moment. We're proud to be a member of this great team by providing the construction financing as well as the tax credit investment for the project. We can wait to celebrate the completion of the project along with 45 individuals and families that will be able to call 117 as a home. Eastern Bank has been a community bank serving people of our cities and towns for more than 200 years. Eastern, we believe that we have stable and affordable housing is essential for full participation in our schools, workplaces, and neighborhoods. However, we all know with inflation and ever-rising rental and home ownership prices, affordable housing is unfortunately out of reach for many people. As a mission-driven financing arm of the bank, our community development lending group was created with a concentration in providing financing to preserve and develop affordable housing. I'm proud to share that this specialized lending group has provided more than $3 billion in social responsible loans to different area nonprofits during the past 20 years. Congratulations again to the whole team to make this possible, the revitalization of different communities, creating more accessible and affordable housing for those in need. I have to say, these projects takes a while. Eliza and Stephen, thank you for your leadership. When we get the project, it has been only 3 or 4 years that they are being working with. So when they're ready for financing, we know that they have put a lot of work towards this project. So thank you, Eliza, again, Stephen, for the leadership. And our partners, Mass Housing, that we are helpful. You're always in the projects involved. MHEC, the town, the city, mayor, everyone. It's just like a village, like the city councilor mentioned. Congratulations, everyone. We look forward to continue to work together and see this project long-term impact for generations to come. And thank you again for the opportunities to join. And I hope everybody enjoyed the day. It's very nice. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Johanna. So there are still many more financial partners that we need to acknowledge and thank today. I think you heard Mark reference 15 different sources, so it took a lot of commitment from a lot of groups to get us here. We want to thank Bristol County Savings Bank, and in particular Rich Farmer and Will Mendonca, who provided the initial acquisition loan to get this property under control and get the project underway. We'd like to thank Mass Development, which was also an early investor. They provided a site readiness grant back in 2019 that made the early design and permitting work possible. Of course, a huge thanks to the State Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities, formerly DHCD, for providing the critical tax credit allocations and loan funds that make this kind of project possible. On the tax credit equity side, a special thanks goes to MHIC, and particularly Carrie Knudsen, who's here, and Tax Incentive Finance for structuring those investments, which are sizable. We are grateful for CDAC for funding the accessibility features of the project through the Community-Based Housing Program and the new Accessibility Affordable Housing Grant Program. And we'd also like to thank Mass Housing Partnership for investing through its transit-oriented development program. And finally, a huge thanks to the City of New Bedford and the Office of Housing and Community Development. Others who have spoken this morning have acknowledged the city's investment as well, but the city's incredible financial commitment, almost, actually $3.75 million in home, ARPA, and CPA funds combined, was so critical to attracting the state and private investment that's making this project possible. So we want to say a special thank you and acknowledge the team that made this happen, including Pat Sullivan, Lori Mooring, Josh Amaral, Jessica Bailey, Jennifer Maxwell, and Lauro. Thank you all so much. And now I'm going to hand things back to Steve to close things out.
Okay, thank you, Eliza. It takes an awesome team to put together a $27 million project on a postage stamp piece of property. And it's hard to envision that in a very short period of time that this little piece of land is going to have a 5-story building situated on it and housed by 45 different families living here. But it'll come together. As you can see, it's a work in progress. Time is money, so we're going to keep the project moving. Get these trucks back to work.
Don't send me the bill.
I'd like to just thank some of the team members that have helped us get this far in this project. As I said earlier on, this has been a project of perseverance, and some have been with us from day one who have worked very, very hard, including the Stantec architectural team. I see Tamara, Mark's here, Brendan's here. I don't know if Mike, Chris, Danny, are they around? Yep, all around. Okay, they're all here in front of us. So thank you very much. They were with us from day one when we started this project. So 5 years later, they've hung in there, and I think you'll appreciate the fruits of their labor. Our general contractors, they're all around on the project. Scott, Matt, Kate, Tom, Nick, Janine, Bernard from DF Prey. Also been with us from day one, and very comfortable in working with them. Our legal team from Klein Horning, I saw Teresa earlier, Michelle and Rachel. I don't know if they're Michelle and Rachel. I saw Teresa earlier. And our local team from Klein Horning, from Podger Snow and Hahn, Randy and Mike. I saw Randy earlier. I don't know if Randy's still here. Our owner project managers, our OPM on the project, Tanny Development, with Nathan and Doug. They're new to the team, but they have been invaluable in moving us forward. Rich and Eric from Prime Engineering, as well as Rich Riccio from Field Engineering. And as the mayor talked about, our property managers upon completion of the project, Hall Key Management. Special thanks to Andy, Tracy, Donna for taking on this particular project for us. And our tax credits on the project, the YWCA, who is doing great work in the housing arena as well. They've rehabbed and purchased some additional buildings in the city, and they're doing some good work with Gail Forts, Zara Tavaz, Lindsay Carter Montero, Lizette Perry, and Shay Ramus, and we thank them for their involvement in the project as well. Again, a special thank you to all of you for showing up this morning. I think this is probably the warmest day in August that we have had. Could have worse days, I guess, so we'll take what we have. As my grandmother used to say, today's the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad. So with that, we're going to open up and have a little photo op in the front with the shovel presentation, and then we'll have a couple of other groups come up and we'll take some photos as we progress. Again, thank you very, very much for coming out this morning, and we appreciate it. Hang around for the photo ops, and thanks. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
It's a short ride from your neighborhood to your naturehood. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.